Joining us now is Representative David Clark. He is a House of Representatives member, a Republican from the Beaufort area. David is live with us in studio here in Alpharetta. David, you've been a warrior in the House. Very frustrating that your speaker wouldn't take up the petition. Trump called him. He said he would do it, but he didn't do it. Then he blamed the Senate, and the Senate couldn't do it. That went nowhere. No special session. Meantime, you got your Secretary of State. You got all this evidence of fraud. They're doing nothing. And a lot of people like me look at this and say, and I agree with Lynn Wood, the fraud January 5th, David, is going to be worse than it was on November 3rd, and they're doing nothing.
Oh, definitely, John. Thank you for having me on the Fredericks show, and it's great to be here. To go back to what you said about the speaker, I'll say this. We have 30 names out publicly in support of a special session, a petition calling for that. And with the speaker saying that he's behind it, but he's behind the scenes threatening members, telling them not to sign to the petition, and he goes around and is known widely behind closed doors or to us that he thinks he's the most powerful man in Georgia. Well, if he is, then he should step up and fight for integrity and making sure that voters know that their vote counted. So I think the speaker, he's very good. He's a very polished politician. He tiptoes that line on both sides. But if he wanted to call for a special session, he could make this happen. He could put the pressure. He could put the pressure on Governor Kemp to have to call for it. But he doesn't want it. I can tell you that. And just him threatening the members alone is enough of why he does not want it to come out. Because I know we have at least 60 plus members who have signed it, but their name's not out there publicly. Because he knows that once those drop, it's going to be an avalanche, right, of people shifting over and the pressure on the governor to call for a special session. So I don't think and believe the speaker at all wants a
Why is he
special
being
session.
duplicitous? Why is he saying on one thing, yeah, I'm all in favor of a special session, and he threatens his members if they vote for a special session?
You know, what you see is that's a swamp. There's a swamp in D.C., there's a swamp here. And he's a politician. And America's seeing it, Georgia's seeing it, that he's playing that perfect game almost that politicians have been playing for a long time now. And I think the people of Georgia, the people of America are getting tired of this type of stuff. It's just game playing. It's just political rhetoric, no action.
So when you say he's threatening members, aren't you concerned that he'll strip you of any committee assignments and, put you in a closet?
He's tried to do that. I was a chairman. I actually became a chairman last year, back in 2019, and he stripped me because I called him out for some corruption. He had been abusing his seat for years for monetary gain through his law practice by using a law he tweaked in 2005. And so I lost my chairmanship a few months after getting my chairmanship because I realized I had to step up. I had to stand for transparency and integrity. So I've lost it. And now the new committees will be coming out. So I'm sure I'll get even less committees. But I think doing the right thing it's always the time to do it.
So when you say he threatens members behind the scenes, David Ralston, we're talking about the Speaker of the Georgia House, David Ralston, who you said has called himself the most powerful man in Georgia. David Clark, Representative Clark, when you say that he threatens behind the scenes, what does he do?
Well, I mean, he'll threaten from threatening to take you off committees, threatening. He even has he keeps up with. He has packets in his office. Actually, he'll pull out, and he's pulled them out to members and said, "Hey, I have this on you. Make one more move or keep acting the way you're acting, and I will destroy you." He's pulled members into his office, so he has the blackmail. He tracks people, and I'm sure he's done investigations on me. I'm sure he's done my background, and it's clean. So I mean, I have nothing to fear. Mm-hmm. I try to live my life as much as I do in my public as my private. Mm-hmm. But there are some that do have some stuff in the past, and so I know he holds that. Yeah, he blackmails them.
Unbelievable.
He's pulled one member in and said, "Hey," he opened it up. He goes, "I have a whole packet on you." And so it just shows you that it's not just him. I've seen that in the 6 years I've been in the House, that a lot of politics is played by threats, holding things over people, and I think it's wrong. It kind of breaks my heart because I served combat veteran, lost buddies overseas, fighting for this country, fighting for the right to vote, the right to you want to believe in your government, but then when you see some of this stuff happening, especially in this election with these irregularities and fraud allegations, it's definitely heartbreaking. So I think if the Speaker wanted to step up, we could absolutely have a special session tomorrow, if he would do it, but he doesn't want it.
So basically what you're saying, he misled the president because the president called him and he said that if the Senate went with the petition that he could get his 91 votes, but he never really intended to do that.
Not at all.
Yeah. So it was just completely disingenuous swamp, the Atlanta swamp.
Yeah, the Atlanta swamp, I think, is very alive and well, and it's big.
Unbelievable. And so are they not concerned, Representative Clark, about Democrats stealing the January 5th election? Do they just not care? They just don't get it? What is it?
I think too many of them are more focused on grabbing their piece of the pie and their own elections, what they can give themselves, instead of what they can give to others, of how they can serve Georgia, serve America, and just protect our freedoms. And so it's definitely heartbreaking. I've seen this a lot in politics. It's more politicians are more worried about the next election than the next generation. And I think it's showing right here of people who are not willing to stand and fight for integrity. And it's not even about Trump. You know, this is about integrity of the vote, integrity of our country. And what you see is it's just showing now, it's bubbling to the surface of politicians care more about themselves than we, the voters.
What do you think Raffensperger's incentive is here? To not impound the machines, to do another 20 drop boxes, which you didn't have to do, to not have signature verification. And then I felt like the Cobb County SIG match was kind of bait and switch, like here's a nugget, but he, you know, I would have liked to see him pick DeKalb or Fulton do all of them. He's doing a sampling in Cobb, which is probably cleaner. What do you think of this whole thing?
I'm just as confused in some ways as a lot of my voters who call in, because I'm even looking at this going, wait, hold on. So you keep saying there's no fraud. I'm not going to do a audit of the signatures of absentee ballots. And all of a sudden now you say, I'm going to go to Cobb. Wait, hold on. We have videos in Fulton of showing that looks like that there was fraud done, you know, in the middle of the night. But he won't go do an audit of those signatures. And then even when he puts out that he's doing a sample auditing in Cobb, he says, but it won't change the presidential election. Nobody has the right. Only God himself can say what happened right away. And he's pretty much saying is, it won't change. He's going to go do this. And I think it shows you he's just trying to cover for himself. And he's trying to just buy time to hopefully have all this just go away. But it's not going to go away. The voters, more than ever in the history of America, are more informed than ever before. Mm-hmm. And I think they're making a grave mistake of thinking the good old boy type thinking of, oh, I can just buy my way out of this. No, there's a time of reckoning coming. And it's the voters saying, I'm informed, I know what's going on, and I want the truth. And he's trying to dodge it. And I, even with Governor Kemp, I'm one of his biggest supporters. I chaired the Veterans for Kemp Coalition when he ran for governor. But it's disheartening by seeing him, Jeff Duncan, Brad, not stepping up to where they should of wanting transparency and integrity. And we should all be wanting this. And I think the biggest thing is, of the 4 swing states, Georgia is absolutely red. We have every single statewide position. We control the House and the Senate. If we wanted a full audit investigation, we could do it just like that, done. And we could let the people know, hey, there was fraud or there wasn't fraud. And my biggest thing is not saying that there was fraud. We know there's fraud. But the biggest thing is, let's just do an investigation. If we have nothing to hide, let's do it. And Georgia could lead on that, and we're not leading on that. And we have no excuse because we control every single position here in Georgia.
So what is the reason? That's what everybody's question is. Why is Raffensperger allowing this to continue to perpetuate? And then what he did in Cobb County, I mean, it's something, but I mean, you got videos in Fulton. Let's do a complete analysis of Fulton County and see how many people voted that, were not, A, not registered, B, underage, C, don't live there. We've already got, 1,700 people voted twice. That's already proven. So for the fake news to say there's no evidence, well, 1,700 people in Georgia voted twice. That's fraud. Unbelievable.
Yep, but there's no fraud.
Yeah, but there's no fraud. All right, I'm going to open this up to the phone lines. 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646, 888-480-5646. David Clark is with us. Representative David Clark has been stripped of his committee chairmanship by the Speaker for speaking out. And let's go to line 1, where we have Smith in Marietta, Georgia. Smith, you're live.
Hey, John, thanks for what you do. I look forward to it every morning. But you keep asking, do they care about the Senate? Do they care about the Senate? I'm wondering if the Senate is rigged. I'm wondering if Kemp's already got his girl lined up to win on the machines, and David Perdue lose by a little bit, and then they say, well, there you go, Georgia's 50-50, so you can see how the election went the way it did.
Let me give that to to Representative Clark's. Myth is saying, is it just rigged, and are they not concerned because they rigged it backwards for Loeffler? What do you think of that?
I don't know the exact question to that because, again, I can't say it's rigged or not, but what we need to do is what we should have done the moment this election ended on the 3rd, and the irregularities, the vote counts that happened in the middle of the night. We should be doing a full investigation, a forensic investigation of the Dominion machines, and we haven't done that. So every voter has a right to feel like it could be rigged because it's our job as elected officials to bring confidence in our voters. So I don't know the answer to that question, but I definitely understand the doubts you have. But again, we must get out and vote, though. We have to vote. I mean, our country depends on that.
No doubt I'll vote. I've been a citizen in Georgia my whole life, and I hate that my state's a total laughing stock right now. But the fact of the matter is, I've watched those rallies with Trump, and when Doug Collins' name was mentioned, people went crazy. And when Loeffler was mentioned, they barely even clapped. And yet she won. And that's Kemp's girl. And I used to be a Brian Kemp fan, not anymore. But that's just what I'm wondering is, if they pick the winner before this election, are they going to pick the winner before the one in January? I'll still vote. I think a lot of Georgians will still vote. But, voting on the same machine is doing it the same way we did before. I just don't know if
you got to get the same result.
Cooked in.
It's already baked in. That's the problem. That's the problem. Like I said with Linwood earlier, Smith, the potential for fraud on the January 5th outstrips what you saw on November 3rd. It's worse, not better. And it's a lot worse. All right, Smith, thank you. Let's get to Adam in Sandy Springs. Adam, you're live.
Hey, John.
Adam, yeah.
Hey, sorry, I heard the very end of that. Yeah, hey,
Go ahead.
why? If Ralston's the most powerful man in Georgia, like he says, let's get him to get a special session since Kemp's not going to do it. Is there a possibility of that?
Yeah, there definitely is a possibility. We need the 91 votes. We have that many votes just in Republicans alone easily. But again, he's saying one thing publicly, saying he was on the phone with President Donald J. Trump and he's a big supporter of his, but then all of a sudden he's threatening members behind the scenes. So that's what I've been fighting for 6 years down there. It's this dictatorship going on, especially in the House. And the speaker says one thing and does another publicly.
What about Jan Jones? What role does she play in this? Speaker Pro Tem Milton.
It's pretty much a one-man show in the House. And David, the Speaker of the House, Ralston, he calls every shot. So pretty much it's just a one-man show.
So
Leadership.
She has a title without the power.
Exactly.
Jan Jones. All right, thank you. Adam, thank you. Let's get to line 3, Mark and Cumming. Mark, you're live.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. David, we actually been speaking on Twitter. I know your brother Luke, and you're a huge fighter for the state of Georgia and have been for a long time. John, what you may not know is David, a few years ago, was in a tussle with David Ralston because Ralston has a pretty dark history with neglecting cases as a lawyer because he's speaker. And David led the fight to kind of kick him out as speaker. But John, I think what happened during that time is you didn't have guys like you leading the charge, and therefore local radio hosts like Eric Erickson weren't doing a great job of getting the word out. So I guess, David, the question for you is how do we put pressure on our local reps and state senators to put pressure on David? In other words, turn the tables a bit instead of David kind of pressuring them to sit down.
I think the tough question is they're being told by special interests, by the speaker and all that, hey, you can stand with me, I'll make sure to help you raise money, or you can go the other route, right, and stand alone. And I think that's something that is tough is the voters will send emails, they get the calls, but then they weigh it of what's more powerful, what's more threatening, right? And so I think that's what we're seeing. And even with myself, when I took a stand, I mean, I'm not getting lobbyist money. I'm not getting a lot of the money I could get because they've been told don't give him $1. So, I have to rely on doing the right thing, but then having the people stand next to me. So I think when they come to office, you got to decide, am I going to be the people's champion or the establishment type of champion, big business. So that's the thing I think a lot of them struggle with. So the question, I guess, to fix that is if they want to take a stand, we need more people to run for office and commit to standing for the people.
And we need more media to get the word out.
Yeah, in the media, yes, we need that so bad.
That's why I started GeorgiaStarNews.com. We got some big stories in there today. You can go there. Also, we're trying to get a radio station here. I mean, there's got to be a media outlet where people can bring pressure to bear. And right now there isn't one. You got the fake news AJC. They're the kingpin. You got WSB. They don't do anything. You got Empty Suit, Never Trumper Eric Erickson hangs up on people. He's just part of that whole rat hole. Thank you, Mark. Let me just ask you, before we get to our next caller, let me just ask you straight out, David Clark with us, Representative Buford, Republican. Right now, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue are in a precarious position. They're tied or behind in the polls, depending on what poll you look at. We know there's going to be fraud. There's 80,000 new voters that just got registered. I doubt the Republicans registered over 5,000 of those. So the vast majority Democrats. Straight up, David Clark, what do Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue have to do to win on January 5th?
I think one simple and easy thing to do, and it's easy, just for them to commit, both of them, to saying, if we win this election, these 2 Senate seats, we will call for a full investigation of the presidential election and ask for a special prosecutor to come in and handle that. Think about what the Democrats did, the fake Russian dossier. If they would do that, I would not put it past them to steal an election. And so if they would call for that alone, for a full investigation of the presidential election, Kelly and David would motivate the base, bring at least some confidence back into the voters, knowing they have a champion for them and for integrity, no matter who wins the presidential election in the end. But yeah, if they would call for that, an investigation headed by a special prosecutor, I think they would win in big numbers.
That's all they have to do.
That's all.
Just say, we will call, if we get elected, January 6th, we will call for a special prosecutor named by whoever the acting DOJ chairman is. We will demand a special prosecutor to look into the election fraud in 2020 across the country.
They would win.
Starting in Georgia.
They would win.
They would win. That's all they have to do.
Win big.
I mean, but instead, they don't do that. And in fact, they do the opposite. They run away from it. So, all right, let's get to line 1. Frank in Fairfax. Go ahead, Frank, you're live.
Good morning. I don't know how to begin this question here, but I look at this and I don't know if I'm listening to an audio version of a novel. Everything that I've heard this morning, McEnany, Linwood, and this gentleman here. My
David
question
Clark.
is, I'm sorry, yes, David Clark, forgive me. I guess my question is how far and how long does this fight continue? Because, you get past January 5th, January 6th, get past January 20th, and if nothing has changed, how far do we just give up at that point?
Never.
No, we're not going to give up. We're never going to give up. And first of all, nothing is decided until somebody puts their hand on the Bible January 20th, all right? So that's number 1, Frank. So we're not giving up. And personally, I'm going to fight to the final moment of the final hour of the final day until this is resolved. And then after that, if it happens to be Biden, for whatever reason, Supreme Court doesn't take the cases, I mean, that's only the beginning. Now we have to fight for a special prosecutor. Now we have to fight for investigations looking into Georgia. We have to fight, because if we don't, they're simply going to do it again. The Democrats, Frank, in my judgment, I can't talk to the other states. I've not been there. I'm a ground guy. You put me on the ground, I'll figure it out. I've been here for 6 weeks away from my family. 25 cities I've been in. The fraud in Georgia is beyond it's beyond the pale. Every day I find more of it. And so you let this go, and the Democrats will have perfected, they will have baked in the cake a way to win every election in perpetuity. And everybody will be afraid to challenge it. Right, David?
Exactly.
That's the problem, David. And then I got to go.
I mean, sorry to interrupt, but one of the things that we have a problem here is that you have, let's say 50% of the Americans know what's going on, and you have the other half that has no idea. And I feel like I'm on a treadmill, not only not going anywhere, but not burning any calories with what's going on. I mean, I've been following this since before, and I just don't, I don't, there's a lot of people talking, and I hear it, but I just don't see, maybe it's just too subtle for me to notice, but I just don't see any movement forward. And there's a lot of people, not any disrespect, but I see a lot of people saying the right things, but just nothing is happening.
Hey,
I mean-
just remember, have faith and confidence and know that, from the beginning of our country, we've always had a fight for every generation for the freedom, because we are literally one generation away from extinction, our freedom, our country. So we can't lose faith. All we need to do is turn the rudder a little bit, and we're back on course. So we've got to keep fighting, and let's not lose faith. I believe we're going to turn this around, and there's still, a lot of good to come, but we just got to not give up faith.